Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming and thank you for your patience. Welcome to the first press conference for TIFF 2011. In a minute, we'll be bringing out the cast and the director. I just want to make a few housekeeping notes first. We're going to have 90 seconds of flash photography prior to the press conference getting underway. And then after that, please remember no flash photography during the press conference. Media, when you ask a question, please stand and identify yourself and your media outlet. Please make sure all mobile phones are off. And today's press conference will be streamed live on www.tiff.net/festival. And one other thing, please try to keep the aisles free for the volunteers who will be walking with microphones to handle the questions. And now it's my great pleasure to bring out the director and the cast of the film Moneyball, as well as our moderator, Richard Krause. Thanks very much. Sorry. Hey Brad, how's it going? Good, how are you?
No problem. I like to go straight to sitting as quick as possible.
Hey guys, one this way down low, guys. Brad, right here, please. Brad, this way.
What's that? I'm good. Oh, yeah.
Hey guys, down low for a couple here. 1, 2, 3. Guys, towards the right to your left. Towards your right to your left. Brad, to the left side. Brad, please. And up top, Brad, right here. Jonah, Brad, together, guys. Brad, towards your right.
All right. Good, guys.
Okay. Guys, we'll have to ask the still photographers to exit now, please. Thank you.
Yes, please do.
Guys, still photographers, we have to get you out of here, please. Yeah.
The whole thing is pretty amazing.
Guys, we can't start until all the photographers are gone. Can we get you to exit, please? Nice. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, can we get, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome everybody to the press conference at the 2011 Toronto International Film Festival for Moneyball. I will do quick introductions of everyone on the panel. Chris Pratt, who appeared in the TIFF film Jennifer's Body, best known for his roles on the television series Everwood, The OC, and as Andy Dwyer on Parks and Recreation. He plays Scott Hattenberg, the first baseman in Moneyball. He's with us today. Hatteberg. Jonah Hill made his film debut in the TIFF film I Heart Huckabees, and has since been seen in Superbad, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Funny People, Get Him to the Greek, Cyrus, and many others. He co-created, co-writes, and executive produces and lends his voice to the new Fox animated comedy Alan Gregory, which will air in between The Simpsons and Family Guy on Sunday nights. He plays Peter Brand in the film. From his breakup performance as the cowboy hitchhiker who seduces Gina Davis's character in the 1991 road movie Thelma and Louise, to leading roles in 12 Monkeys, 7, Fight Club, Ocean's 11 and its sequels, Ocean's 12 and 13, Troy, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and Tree of Life. Brad Pitt has earned Oscar nominations, 1 Golden Globes. As a producer, he's had several films at TIFF, including The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford and The Private Lives of Pippa Lee. He's the star of Moneyball. Would you help me welcome Brad Pitt? Continuing down the line, Philip Seymour Hoffman won an Academy Award for his portrayal of Truman Capote in Capote, which played at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2005. He can be seen in 2 TIFF films this year, The Ides of March and Moneyball, and last year his directorial debut, Jack Loves Boating, played at TIFF as well. And sitting right next to me, Bennett Miller is the director of the feature Capote, a film for which he received an Oscar nomination for Best Director. He also directed the documentary film The Cruise. He has also directed television commercials and music videos, including working with Bob Dylan. Welcome, everybody. I'm just going to kick things off, then I'll turn it over to the assembled press. This movie gestated for a very long time. What was it that I guess for Brad, I'll start with you. What was it that kept your attention for this script for so long?
First, I would say that it's complicated material. It's not your conventional story or storyline with a conventional character arc. So it took a lot of shots at it, and a lot of people getting their fingerprints on it and trying to hammer out what this thing would be. But ultimately, it was this. I couldn't let go of the story of these guys who, by necessity, who were trapped in an unfair game, an unfair situation. That by necessity they had to come up with. They had to think differently. They had to reinvent themselves, and in doing so, they ran up against great bias and a vitriolic wall that really tested who they were. And I think at the end of the day, it's a story about our values, about how we value other people, what we value as success, what we value as failure, how we even take that value system and understand our own value, and that value system is warped with bias and prejudice and these kind of questions. And I there's so many themes, and I can go on about 70s films that I thought this related to, and these characters. But ultimately, it's the justice story, and it took Bennett Miller, I think, to crack this unconventional story.
Well, I think one of the things that audiences are going to find very appealing, and certainly the people that have seen it at TIFF already, the collected press who are here with us, one of the things that people are responding to is that it is actually a movie about sports. It's not about a romance that happens on the side, unlike other sports movies, because sports movies are so often not about the sport. They're about the things that sort of happen around it leading up to a big game. And this movie is all about the sport. And I think that was an interesting way to present a sports film. Was that one of your goals going in?
I think that's true, and I also think the opposite is true at the same time.
Right.
I mean, it is very much a film about baseball, but I saw it as a film about a guy who thinks he's trying to win baseball games, and the truth is that something else is happening. There's something deeper is happening. There's a line from Michael Lewis's book where he says, I'm paraphrasing, that Billy couldn't help but to wonder if there was another life that he was not living that he was supposed to be. Right. And this is a guy whose life did not turn out the way it was supposed to, the way it had been described to him, that he had a destiny, that he was going to be great. He was going to be a superstar. And it took him more than a decade toiling in failure before he accepted that things were not going to happen. And now he was in a position where he could accept that this is his life, or he could begin to question what had happened. And once you begin to pull on that string and really challenge everything that you know about yourself, about your past, about decisions you've made, ends up being a story much bigger than a sports story, much bigger than a baseball story. But baseball is very visual, and it's a very beautiful game that has a language in itself that can mean literally what it means. You're out, you scored a run, whatever. But it could also, be used as a language to communicate something that I don't think words or simple drama itself could adequately do. So it is a sports movie very much, and we took great pains to be truthful, but to me it's what's beneath that I think was interesting to us.
Well, thank you. I'll turn it over to the collected press. Can you just raise your hands? Yeah, go ahead, Brian. Someone will come to you with a microphone.
Brian Johnson from Maclean's Magazine. A question for Brad, two actually. First of all, what's your favorite sports film of all time? And secondly, do you think the Moneyball strategy can be, should be, has been applied to the Hollywood star system?
Well, not if they hired me, but you know, as a kid, I loved Bad News Bears as a sports film. Ben and I talked a lot about that one. I had loved North Dallas 40 with Nick Nolte. I think it was the first R-rated movie I snuck into, so it has a special place in my heart. But you know, sports films traditionally work on some level of this idea of winning, overcoming adversity. I don't know, it's something in our DNA. It's why we love our sports heroes and our sports teams. Mine lost last night. I was very disappointed to the Green Bay Packers, but so be it. But even the loss itself, you can take personally. You can take on personally. So it's a very interesting genre as far as for film. The system, I believe Moneyball first came to Sony in the guise of a convention. Billy Bean was speaking, a kind of speaking engagement, and I think that's where they first got hip to it. And Rachel had bought the book, and there's been many others who, along the way, who have tried to, I think, deploy the system into Hollywood. But as I say, I don't know how successful they're doing. Do you?
You want my opinion about it?
Yeah.
I think if I answered it really truthfully, I might never work again. So, no, I think that the point of it is that there is hidden value, that there is material and approaches that are very undervalued, that are very overlooked in films, and I think it's become established that these ingredients lead to a successful film, and people like comedy, and that we could do that for, you know, not a lot of money, and people like action, and I know how to market this, and so all of that exists, and I think the same is true in baseball. But I also think it's true that there is a huge market for films that mean things to people, that mean something to people, and I think that there's a huge Alaska-sized resource to drill into, and it's very accessible. And when a film can engage you and entertain you the way a film has to, and communicate something that's relevant to your life and somehow materialize or express the struggle of being a human being, people come to it, you know, and it's a good business on top. I mean, it's a model that works for everybody, I think. So I hope my ambition in life is to have, you know, for there to be more confidence in some of these value players, like the Scott Hatterbergs or the Chad Bradfords, that don't look like a traditional thing but can win.
I would just add that
I said that for Amy Pascal, who's somewhere here.
But from the producerial side, we try to find people who are less well known. That there's great talent all over the world. And the point I'm trying to make is, I think now in this, as we see the digital camera on the rise and people being able to make films on their own in a renegade style, we're going to see more and more of this kind of talent that may not have gotten a shot beforehand.
Yep, go ahead. Yep.
Hi, Rayanne Farah from Fast Company magazine. We're talking about this under the auspices of it being a sports film, but I see this as being a game changer in the true sense of the word. You know, there are many parallels that can be drawn in the last 10 years from this film that's made about how industry in general and business has changed. Was that at all present in your mind when you were creating this film, that this could be a bit of a parable for how businesses in general could rethink their world and their structures?
Looking at me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, again, similar answer. It's a baseball movie, but if it's successful, it transcends that and is applicable to businesses or any institution, whether it's, you know, the movie industry or your family. you know, or you're running a country. Like, that it's always true that there are things that are not understood, and that there exists opportunity in that. And if the movie inspires anything, maybe, hopefully it would inspire you to think differently, to crack the shell of your own belief system and prejudices, and you know, it's not specific to baseball.
Yep, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, we'll get a microphone to you. No, right here. Right here, please. Yeah, in the back, the woman that's standing up. Thank you.
Hi, this is Linda from Fairchild TV of Toronto. Certainly this film is about sportsmanship and encouragement and faith. Never give up. That inspired a lot of audience. To Brad Pitt, how this movie inspired you personally?
I think let's open that to everyone on the panel, if we could. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to pass that around?
Yeah. Chris, do you?
Again, it's how did it inspire me? You know, I'm a sucker for these for an underdog story. For, you know, the title of the book is Moneyball: The Science of Winning an Unfair Game, and how these guys were able to survive and stay competitive. So for me, it was going up. You know, it was questioning the things that we accept every day, that these guys were, because we've been doing something the same way for so long, does that mean it's right for today? You know, we don't stop and question the context of why those decisions were made at that time, and that speaks to me. Why, if we were inventing the automobile today, would we invent it? Would it run on a finite resource that we have to go to war for and export, you know, billions of dollars of our GDP to? No, we'd probably make it like our laptops. It'd run like our laptops. So it's this kind of questioning I find very, very inspiring. That if we were to do it today, is this how we would do it?
I find it inspiring to sit next to Bennett Miller. No, I find it inspiring that there's a guy who, you know, in the middle of his life, all of a sudden, like, turns back into his life and looks at it and becomes obsessed with having to deal with what came before. I think that's inspiring. That he is now, you almost feel like he is now going to Groundhog Day himself until that day is gone, and he can sit in the stands and watch the game. You know, that he can, you know what I mean, that he can enjoy a baseball game again, that he can enjoy his life again, but he is obsessed with having to somehow turn and look back into it. I think it's very inspiring. And I think that that's what's so hard about the conflicts in the film, is that no one can actually say that. Do you know what I mean? Like, Billy Bean can't walk into my office and go, listen, I'm looking back at my life, and I would like to try, you know, oh, Billy, that's too much for me, you know. But I do think that you know, whenever we talked about the film, that's sort of the human side of it, was that. And that's very inspiring, because I think all of us are kind of at that point in our lives, you know, and I think that speaks to us. That does speak to me.
Chris P. or John?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I've never done anything like this before. I've got 10 million reasons why this film inspired. I'm inspired right now. This is really surreal. I mean, in terms of, like, Scott Hatterberg being a working class baseball player, I think, like, as an actor, that's kind of who I am, you know. I mean, most people don't know who I am, and I don't get paid a shitload of money or anything like that, and you know, you guys got me for really cheap. And I'm kind of like Scott Hatterberg in that sense, but, like, one thing that, I mean, I can't really speak to seeing the film as an experience or, like, what an audience member will think, but for me, is the journey of this film, it was, what inspired me was hanging out with real baseball players. I mean, this film is very authentic to the sport of baseball. Every baseball player, apart from myself, did play in the pros on either the minor or major league level or in college or farm league. I mean, these guys are throwing 95-mile-an-hour fastballs. Every bit of baseball you see is real. I would take this baseball team against any other baseball team from any other baseball movie ever, and we would kick their asses. These are real baseball players, and so to be part of that was really inspiring, and being able to work with Chad Kruder, who is the former head coach at USC, and just hang out with like a team of baseball players. It was so cool. It was, I don't know, it inspired me to become a bigger fan of baseball and to join a softball league at work and stuff. So like, I don't know, there's a million reasons why this thing inspired me.
Jonah, do you have thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, I, you know, it's ironic that we're sitting here with like Amy and Doug, who run Sony, because when I was making the movie, I never really related to Billy or my character. I really related to Chad Bradford, the scene where he says, no one ever really like gave me a chance or an opportunity to, like, took a chance on me before. And, you know, Superbad was the movie, the reason why I know any of you people here, have met any of you, and Amy and Doug and Judd Apatow gave me that opportunity where I was a very unlikely person at that time to be the star of a big motion picture. And again, with this movie, Bennett and Brad and Amy and Doug, I was a very unconventional person to be, you know, in this dramatic movie. And so I do feel like I continually get that underdog opportunity, and it's just, I can't stop smiling about this whole thing. You know, the movie is constantly inspiring to me. So that's what I take away from all of it.
And Bennett, do you?
And Brad's chair keeps squeaking, and it's very amusing.
It's not my chair.
Are we still on the same question?
Yeah,
Or, question of inspiration. Brian and I had this conversation. It's you know, it's a movie about a guy who's attempting to be truthful, and I think that it is very energizing and relieving anytime anybody admits a new level of truth into anything. And to have a character, as Phil's describing, who's going to look back and Groundhog Day his life until he learns the thing he needs to learn, is really inspiring. The one thing that ever really surprises me is when somebody is sincere, when somebody's authentic with you. And like, we're all sitting up here on stage. We have a purpose. We want to sell this movie. We want you to love it and us. And, you know, there's a whole transaction happening here. But the truth is, like, I hope you guys, you know, I hope you guys embrace this movie. You know, like, I think that's at the kind of ones and zero logic foundation of this movie, of a character who cannot, because of his circumstances, because of who he is, come out and say that this is what this is about. But, you know, what is the truth about the value of a player who can no longer feel, you know, 3 of his, you know, fingers in his throwing arm? Is he really what most people believe him to be, or is he, which is useless, or would 9 of him win the World Series? You know, and what is the truth about the reason why I failed as a baseball player? And, you know, what can I conclude by the disappointing outcome of, you know, my life? Does it mean this or does it not mean that? And that's what I find inspiring, is to, at the end of the day, it's learning something, and it's discovering the truth about what it is that you're embroiled in.
Go ahead. Yeah, we'll get a microphone over here, please. Yeah.
Hi, Laszlo Kriston from Hungary and Australia. I'm wondering, in creating this character, have you draw from your experiences when you were languishing in B movies and weren't really a successful actor yet? And also, what were the biggest obstacles of your life that you have to overcome?
That's to Jonah, right?
No, I actually didn't. Yeah. No.
No, I related it more to my upbringing. I grew up in a very Christian environment, a healthy environment, a loving family, but there were just parameters and things I didn't understand, questions. I always questioned it, and it took me to my adult years or leaving home where I could really try on something different for myself. That was Satanism. It's working out really well. I made a pact. That's why the movie came out so well. No, it's not. But really dealing with, you know, you're told certain things as you grow up, and I'm a big believer, and you have to try things on for yourself and really figure out who you are and what works for you and what doesn't. And I just related to that time because it's a very personal time. It was you know, when you lose something that's a comfort system, you cut the tether and you find yourself very much on your own with nothing to hold on to. And so, just an interesting time, and this film, I know there's something in it there that connects for me. Can I leave it at that?
We're getting short. I only have time for 2 more questions, so I'm going to go here. Yep, go ahead, and then.
Hi, I'm Reggie Winter from Toronto Star. Ben, I think you touched on this a little bit, but it may be a bit of a generalization, but is there something about baseball that sort of lends itself to cinematic representation? Like, just a lot of really good baseball sports movies, and, you know, and boxing does well, but hockey, not so much, really. Any thoughts on that?
What was the last part you, what was the
And
last?
hockey, not so much, yeah.
Slap shot.
Slap shot.
Slap, yeah.
One of the best sports movies ever.
I think baseball represents something closer to our experience. There's no clock in baseball. You know, it's not over until the thing is over. It's like life in that there are prolonged periods of boredom and monotony, you know, punctuated by extreme excitement and sometimes terror. Like, you know, it kind of trods along, and it spikes, and it has, because of the pace of it, it's one of these games that you can begin to look at other things, you know, like I think people who really like to watch a lot of games and go to the games a lot, there is just so much to look at, you know, and you can just isolate and get into one player, what that person is doing during his 98% of the time when nothing is required of him, you know, but he has to be, you know, alert, ready, there. But there's, and the more you get into the game, it's very, 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 very layered. And there's so many things going on, and I think this, and maybe this is the biggest answer to that, is that that it has like a bicameral existence, meaning what is debated in this movie is baseball something.
He's saying baseball looks cool. Right? Just kidding.
So,
Jonah, stop it.
Jonah,
Stop it.
this is
Sorry.
opportunity to be taken as a serious actor, serious person. There's actually a point coming here. I feel it.
It was all beautiful. I was making a dumb joke.
The point is that there are different perspectives of this game. There is a romantic perspective and there's a scientific perspective, and I think that's kind of like life. Some think that, you know, you can reduce and distill this thing and understand it on a physical level, so you can predict, you know, the outcomes to a finer and finer and finer and finer degree. But it is also a game that has, I think, more superstition than any sport ever. And the reason, I think, is that inexplicable things do happen in this game. I think it's the most studied game. I think there's more science and math, and there's more PhDs analyzing it with microscopes than any game, I believe. And I also think it defies understanding more than any other game, because the moment you think you have got it in your grips of your brain, it defies you, and magical things happen. And it's happened throughout the game, and I just don't think it's something that could be destroyed. So how does that relate to life? What makes this sport translate? I think there's something to it. It also looks really cool.
Final questions right here. Yeah.
Hi there, Avery Haynes from City TV, and I'd like to first of all welcome you to Toronto, welcome you to the city and to City TV. I'm wondering, Chris, you mentioned that this is all very surreal to you, and I'm guessing for you, Brad, it's not surreal. And I'm wondering how you sort of reconcile the cult of celebrity with trying to get people to watch your movie, and the hundreds of people who are trolling around sort of wanting a piece of you, the picture, the autograph. Does it work for you? Is it negative, positive?
Listen, I care very much about the film. There's a lot of films always competing for showtime, for space to be seen. So it's just an accepted part of our business. So I enjoy it. I'm really proud of this film, and I want to get it out there and to tell people about it, make sure people are aware of it. But it is not a new experience. It is part of the. Just comes with the territory.
So when you see that, I'm wondering, I mean, it's such a discrepancy between the two. This was you sort of 20, 25 years ago.
I mean, you're so successful and you're so not successful that it really is hard to be in between the both of you.
Don't get me wrong. This is a huge pain in the ass. No, shut me. No, I don't know.
No, he's below my stratus, social stratus.
They just met for the first time.
Yeah, we just met. No, not really. I didn't ask him like, hey, how do I deal with superstardom one day? I didn't say that. I'd be a little presumptuous.
Really uncomfortable.
Make him uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to say that I've like never been an actor. I mean, I've been an actor for over a decade. I just mean that like similar to Scott Hatterberg, I'm more of like, like we all are actors who do this for a living, but there are people who are in baseball. There's Derek Jeter, and then there's Scott Hatterberg. You know what I mean? There's a guy who's a working class guy who's not the highest on the payroll, but he's still very much an essential part of the world that he's in. It's just that there are huge stars in baseball, and I was in talking the question of inspired. I was inspired because I thought like, hey, I'm playing a character that's really similar to who I am and what I do. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm really famous in my hometown. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's all neat, and I'm new, but. Whatever. Next question. That's the first time I've ever said that.
Everyone at this table is like in the top 5% of what we're when it comes to like most actors don't work. Right? I mean, that's kind of, we're all pretty lucky, I think.
That's all the time we have for today. Chris Pratt, Jonah Hill, Brad Pitt, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Bennett Miller, thank you, and thank you all for coming.
Thanks a lot. Excuse me. Hi, just one quick announcement. We're just going to ask the press to hold in this room for 2 minutes until we get the talent downstairs. Sorry, and we thank you for your patience. Just be a quick second.